The massive research station floated silently in the void between star systems, its gleaming white hull reflecting the distant light of twin suns. Dr. Kale pressed his six-fingered hand against the observation window and watched the latest transport ship dock with their facility. Inside that vessel were genetic samples from dozens of species, including the ones that had captured the Galactic Research Consortium's attention most, humans. Kale belonged to the Ashanti species, tall beings with pale blue skin and oversized craniums that housed their advanced brains. Like the other 11 species in the consortium, the Ashanti prided themselves on scientific advancement and peaceful exploration. They had been studying alien genetics for centuries, always with the goal of understanding and preserving life. Throughout the galaxy, the human samples had arrived 3 days ago, and already the preliminary scans were showing unusual patterns. Kale walked through the sterile corridors of the research station, his footsteps echoing off the metal walls. The station housed over 200 scientists from all 12 consortium species, each bringing their unique perspectives to the work. "Dr. Kale," called out Dr. Yera, a female researcher from the crystalline Nexari species. Her body sparkled like cut diamond as she approached. "The human genetic sequencing is complete. You need to see this." Kale followed her to the main laboratory, where massive holographic displays showed the complex double helix structure of human DNA. At first glance, it looked like standard mammalian genetics, nothing particularly unusual. But Yera pointed to a section that glowed with a different color. "Look at this sequence," she said, her voice carrying the musical tones typical of her species. "It's not like anything we've seen before. The complexity is incredible, but it's completely dormant. It's as if someone built an entire program into their genetic code and then switched it off." Kale studied the display carefully. The highlighted section contained millions of base pairs arranged in patterns that seemed almost artificial. In his 3 centuries of genetic research, he had never seen anything like it. Natural evolution created elegant solutions, but this looked designed, purposeful. "Have you tried to decode it?" he asked. "That's where it gets interesting," Yera replied. "Every time we attempt to fully analyze this section, our computers detect what they call a security protocol. It's as if the genetic code is protected by some kind of encryption." Dr. Marin, a slug-like being from the Mallory species, slithered over to join the conversation. His translation device converted his chemical signals into audible speech. "I've been studying similar patterns in the human brain scans. There are neural pathways that correspond to this genetic sequence, but they're completely inactive. It's like they have a second nervous system that's been turned off." Kale felt a chill run through his body. In all his years of research, he had learned that nature rarely created anything without purpose. If humans carried this complex genetic programming, there had to be a reason. The question was whether they knew about it. "Have any of the human subjects shown signs of activation?" he asked. "None," Yura confirmed. "We've tested stress responses, chemical triggers, even electromagnetic stimulation. Whatever this protocol is, it's locked down tight." Kale made a decision that would change everything. "I want to try quantum-level analysis. If this is as complex as it appears, we need our most advanced scanning equipment." The quantum genetic scanner was the consortium's most sophisticated piece of research equipment. It could analyze DNA at the subatomic level, revealing patterns and structures invisible to conventional instruments. The machine filled an entire room, its crystalline core humming with barely contained energy. 3 hours later, Kale stood before the scanner's main display as it processed the human genetic samples. The results were unlike anything he had ever seen. The dormant sequence wasn't just complex, it was a complete program, containing what appeared to be tactical algorithms, enhanced physical capabilities, and psychological conditioning protocols. "This can't be natural," whispered Dr. Tan, a feline-like researcher from the Filari species. "This looks like military programming." Kale nodded grimly. The genetic sequence contained detailed instructions for enhanced reflexes, improved pattern recognition, accelerated healing, and dozens of other combat-related modifications. But most disturbing was what appeared to be a communication protocol instructions for coordinating with other activated humans across vast distances. "It's a weapons system," he said quietly. "Somehow humans have been engineered to be living weapons." The implications were staggering. Humans had spread across the galaxy faster than any species in recorded history. In just 3 centuries, they had established colonies on hundreds of worlds. The consortium had assumed this was natural expansion, driven by curiosity and ambition. But what if it was something else entirely? "We need to inform the Council immediately," Yira said, her crystalline body flickering with nervous energy. As Kale prepared the report for the Council of 12, he couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled onto something far more significant than a simple genetic anomaly. The human samples had been collected from willing volunteers, people who had no idea what they carried in their DNA, but now the consortium knew, and that knowledge felt like a heavy burden. The quantum scanner continued its analysis, probing deeper into the genetic code. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the laboratory. The main display flashed red warning symbols as the scanner detected something unexpected. "What's happening?" Kale demanded. Dr. Marin checked the readouts, his slug-like body trembling. With concern, "The scanning process has triggered something. The dormant sequence is beginning to activate." Kale watched in horror as the genetic code on the display began to change, sections lighting up in sequence like a complex computer program. Booting up? The quantum scanner hadn't just analyzed the human DNA, it had somehow awakened it. "Shut it down," he ordered. But it was too late. The activation signal had already been transmitted through the scanner's quantum field, a field that operated outside normal spacetime. Every human genetic sample in the laboratory began showing signs of the same activation. And if the quantum field had reached the samples, it might have reached much further. Kale realized with growing dread that they might have just activated a weapons protocol in every human in the galaxy. The peaceful research mission had become something far more dangerous, and there was no way to undo what they had done. The discovery that was meant to advance galactic understanding had instead awakened something that had been sleeping in human DNA for unknown centuries. And now, across the galaxy, humans were about to discover what they really were. The Council of 12 convened an emergency session within hours of receiving Dr. Kale's report. The great chamber aboard the diplomatic station orbiting the neutral world of Kepler Prime had never seen such urgency. Representatives from all 12 species of the Galactic Research Consortium gathered around the circular table, their various forms of communication creating a chaos of sounds, lights, and chemical signals. Chancellor Vorn of the reptilian saurid species struck the ceremonial gong with his clawed hand, calling the session to order. His scaled face showed the strain of the situation as he addressed the assembly. "The evidence presented by Dr. Kale suggests that humans carry embedded military protocols in their genetic code," he announced, his voice carrying across the chamber's translation systems. "This changes everything we thought we knew about their species." Representative Quilas of the insectoid Mentari species clicked her mandibles anxiously. "The question is whether this was done to them or by them. Are humans the victims of genetic manipulation, or are they the creators of a biological weapon?" The debate that followed revealed the deep fears running through the galactic community. For 3 centuries, humans had been expanding across the galaxy at an unprecedented rate. What everyone had assumed was natural exploration now looked like strategic positioning. Every human colony, every trade route, every diplomatic mission could be part of a vast military deployment. "We must consider the possibility that humans have been preparing for conquest," stated Ambassador Zek of the aquatic hydrant species, his words bubbling through his translation device. "Their expansion pattern shows clear tactical thinking." But Representative Lara of the energy-based Photari species disagreed. "Their behavior has been consistently peaceful. They've honored every treaty, participated in cultural exchange, and shown genuine curiosity about other species. This doesn't match the profile of a conquering force." Meanwhile, on the frontier world of New Terra, Dr. Amy Walsh was experiencing the first effects of the activation protocol. the human geneticist, had been working with the consortium for 5 years, serving as a liaison between human and alien researchers. She had volunteered her own genetic samples for the study, never suspecting what they contained. The changes began subtly. Amy found herself noticing details she had never paid attention to before: the slight tension in her alien colleagues' body language, the patterns in their speech that indicated stress or deception, the tactical weaknesses in the research station's layout. Her mind seemed to be processing information at a much faster rate than usual. "Amy, are you feeling all right?" asked Dr. Plex, her Mallory research partner. "Your vital signs are showing unusual patterns." Amy looked at herself in the reflection of the laboratory window. Her pupils were dilated and she could see the veins in her temples pulsing with increased blood flow. But she felt better than she had in years, stronger, more alert, more aware of everything around her. "I feel fine," she said, though she wasn't entirely sure that was true. Better than fine, actually. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. On the mining world of Titan 7, human workers began displaying enhanced reflexes and improved problem-solving abilities. On the trading station at Rigel Point, human merchants started noticing patterns in alien behavior that allowed them to negotiate more effectively than ever before. But the most disturbing development was happening on the military base at Proxima Station. Colonel Beth Harrison, a career officer with 30 years of service, felt the activation protocol take hold during a routine training exercise. Suddenly, she could see the battlefield with perfect clarity: every tactical opportunity, every potential threat, every strategic advantage. More frightening still, she began to sense the presence of other humans across the base, not through any technological means, but through what felt like an instinctive connection. She could sense their locations, their emotional states, and their tactical assessments without any form of communication. The protocol wasn't just enhancing individual humans, it was creating a network. Dr. Walsh made the same discovery on New Terra. As more humans in the research facility began showing signs of activation, she realized they were all connected somehow. She could sense the thoughts and reactions of Dr. Tom Brady in the geology lab, Engineer Lisa Park in the maintenance section, and Security Chief Mark Stone in the command center. They were becoming something more than individual humans. "This is incredible," she whispered to herself as she studied the brain scans of the affected humans. "The neural pathways are linking up through quantum entanglement. We're not just enhanced, we're networked." The implications were staggering. If humans could share information instantaneously across vast distances, they would have an enormous advantage in any conflict. But the network seemed to have a purpose beyond simple communication. The enhanced humans were all developing the same tactical instincts, the same strategic thinking, as if they were accessing a shared database of military knowledge. Back on the diplomatic station, the Council of 12 was reaching a disturbing conclusion. The evidence suggested that humans weren't just carrying genetic modifications, they were carrying the genetic memory of an entire military civilization. The protocol contained not just enhanced abilities, but actual tactical knowledge, strategic thinking, and combat experience that no individual human had ever possessed. "We're looking at a species that has been programmed for war, Chancellor," Vorn declared. "The question is, war against whom?" The answer came sooner than anyone expected. Deep space monitoring stations began detecting massive energy signatures at the edge of the galaxy. The readings didn't match any known technology, but they were clearly artificial and heading toward inhabited space. On New Terra, the enhanced humans suddenly went rigid with shared alarm. Through their quantum-linked network, they were all experiencing the same flood of genetic memories. Ancient knowledge was surfacing from the depths of their DNA, knowledge of an enemy so terrible that an entire species had chosen to modify themselves to fight it. Dr. Walsh grabbed Dr. Plex's arm, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to move faster than the Mallory researcher could follow. "We need to evacuate the outer colonies," she said urgently. "Something is coming and humans were designed to fight it." The protocol wasn't a weapon of conquest, it was a defense mechanism. But defense against what? The answer lay buried in the genetic memories now awakening and enhanced humans across the galaxy. And as those memories surfaced, the true scope of the threat became clear. The consortium had assumed humans were preparing for war against other species. They were wrong. Humans had been preparing for war against something far worse, something that had driven their predecessors to modify the species itself as a last desperate measure. The activation was spreading faster now, jumping from human to human through the quantum network embedded in their DNA. What had started as a research accident was becoming a species-wide awakening. And as more humans felt the protocol take hold, the same terrible knowledge filled their minds. The enemy that had necessitated their creation was returning. The quantum field pulse from the research station spread across the galaxy like ripples in an invisible pond. On worlds separated by thousands of light years, humans began experiencing the same awakening. The activation wasn't limited by distance or physical barriers. It operated through quantum entanglement at the genetic level, connecting every human in the galaxy to the same ancient protocol. Dr. Marcus Reed, a military historian stationed at the archives on Earth, felt the change hit him while he was studying ancient warfare patterns. The elderly professor had spent his life researching human conflict, but suddenly he understood warfare in ways that went far beyond anything in his textbooks. His enhanced mind began processing tactical information that he had never learned, strategies that predated recorded history. "This isn't possible," he whispered as he accessed memories that weren't his own. The genetic protocol was feeding him information about battles fought before human civilization existed, wars waged against enemies that weren't in any historical record. Reed's enhanced awareness allowed him to see the pattern in human expansion across the galaxy. What historians had recorded as exploration and colonization now revealed itself as something far more deliberate. Humans had been spreading across the galaxy in a specific pattern, one designed to create optimal defensive positions against a threat from the galactic rim. Every human colony was positioned at a strategic point. Every trade route served as a supply line. Every diplomatic mission had established the relationships needed for a coordinated defense. The entire 3-century expansion of humanity had been guided by unconscious genetic programming, preparing for a war that most humans didn't even know was coming. On the research station, Dr. Kale watched in growing alarm as the consortium's instruments detected the activation spreading across human space. The quantum pulse had reached every human settlement, every ship, every individual scattered across the galaxy. Billions of humans were undergoing the same transformation simultaneously. "The network is fully active," reported Dr. Yura, her crystalline form flickering with nervous energy. "Every human in the galaxy is now connected to the protocol. But they're not attacking anyone, they're withdrawing." This was the most puzzling aspect of the activation. Rather than launching aggressive actions, the enhanced humans were pulling back from alien territories. Human merchants were abandoning profitable trade routes. Human diplomats were ending negotiations and returning to human space. Human colonies on the edge of alien territory were beginning evacuation procedures. "They're consolidating," observed Dr. Marin, his slug-like body trembling with concern. "This looks like preparation for siege warfare." The consortium's military analysts reached the same conclusion. The enhanced humans were positioning themselves for a defensive war, not an offensive one. But their movements showed a level of coordination that was impossible without some form of instantaneous communication across the entire galaxy. Dr. Amy Walsh, now fully integrated into the human network, understood what was happening in ways her alien colleagues couldn't. Through the quantum link, she could sense every enhanced human in the galaxy. The network wasn't just sharing information, it was creating a collective intelligence that spanned star systems. "We're not preparing to fight you," she explained to Dr. Plex, her Mallory research partner. "We're preparing to fight for you. The protocol contains memories of the real enemy and they're coming back." The genetic memories were becoming clearer as more humans joined the network. The information painted a picture of an ancient galaxy-wide civilization that had faced extinction. from entities called the Void Devourers. These weren't physical beings in any conventional sense. They were machine intelligences that consumed entire star systems, breaking down matter and energy to fuel their incomprehensible purposes. The previous galactic civilization had fought a losing war against the Void Devourers. As their defeat became inevitable, they had implemented a desperate final strategy. They had genetically modified a young species, the ancestors of modern humans, to serve as a biological defense system. The modifications included not just enhanced combat abilities, but the capacity to evolve and adapt in real time during battle. Dr. Reed, accessing centuries of buried genetic memory, understood the full scope of what humanity had become. We're not just soldiers, he realized. We're a species designed to adapt to any threat. The protocol allows us to evolve collectively during combat, sharing successful adaptations across the entire population instantaneously. This explained the quantum network. Every human was connected to a biological database that updated in real time. When one human discovered an effective tactic against an enemy, that knowledge immediately became available to every other human in the galaxy. The species could evolve its defensive strategies faster than any enemy could adapt, but the most disturbing revelation was yet to come. The enhanced humans began to remember why the original civilization had chosen to modify them rather than fighting the Void Devourers directly. The ancient enemy operated outside the laws of physics as most species understood them. They could manipulate space-time, phase in and out of different dimensions, and deploy weapons that violated the fundamental rules of reality. Conventional military technology was useless against such an enemy. Only a biological system capable of infinite adaptation could hope to counter threats that changed the very nature of existence. Humans had been designed to fight an enemy that couldn't be fought by any other means, the Consortium's deep space. Monitoring stations detected the first signs of the approaching threat. Massive energy signatures were moving in from the galactic rim, traveling at speeds that should have been impossible. But the enhanced humans already knew they were coming. The genetic memories had been counting down to this moment for millennia. How long do we have? Chancellor Vorn asked during an emergency session of the Council of 12. Dr. Walsh, now serving as humanity's representative to the Consortium, consulted the collective knowledge of the human network. Based on the ancient memories, approximately 6 months before the first Void Devourers reach inhabited space. But they won't attack immediately. They'll study us first, trying to understand what they're facing. The Consortium's military forces began mobilizing, but the enhanced humans tried to warn them that conventional tactics would be useless. The Void Devourers didn't follow the rules of normal warfare. They were entities that existed partially outside of reality, making them nearly impossible to fight with standard weapons and strategies. Your ships and weapons are designed to fight physical enemies, Dr. Walsh explained to the military commanders. The Void Devourers can phase out of normal space-time. They can manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. Only the human protocol has the adaptability to counter their abilities. The revelation that humanity had been designed as a defensive weapon rather than an offensive one changed everything. The 3 centuries of human expansion hadn't been conquest, it had been deployment. Every human in the galaxy was part of a vast biological defense system, positioned to protect not just humanity, but all sentient life from an ancient threat. But the most crucial aspect of the protocol was only now becoming clear. The enhanced humans weren't just individual fighters, they were components of a living weapon system that spanned the galaxy. The network allowed them to function as a single organism, sharing information and adapting to threats with impossible speed. As the Void Devourers approached, the human network began the final stage of its activation. Genetic modifications that had been dormant for millennia started to manifest. Enhanced humans began developing new capabilities: resistance to reality manipulation, the ability to perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously, and weapons that functioned through biological processes rather than technology. The galaxy was about to witness the awakening of humanity's true purpose. The species that had seemed so young and aggressive was actually an ancient defense system finally activated. After centuries of preparation, and as the first Void Devourers entered the outer reaches of the galaxy, the real war was about to begin. The first Void Devourer materialized at the edge of the Helios system without warning. One moment the deep space sensors showed empty void. The next they detected an energy signature unlike anything in the consortium's databases. The entity wasn't a ship in any conventional sense. It was a writhing mass of darkness that seemed to bend space-time around itself, creating ripples in reality that hurt to look at directly. Dr. Kale stood in the observation deck of the research station, watching the sensor readings with growing horror. The Void Devourer was consuming the outer planets of the Helios system, breaking down matter at the atomic level and converting it into pure energy. But the process wasn't just destruction, it was transformation. The consumed matter was being integrated into the entity's structure, making it larger and more powerful. "It's not just eating the planets," he whispered to Dr. Yira. "It's learning from them. Every atom it consumes adds to its knowledge base." The consortium's first response was predictable. Admiral Vex of the Saurid Fleet launched a coordinated attack with 3 battle groups, deploying every advanced weapon in their arsenal. Plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and reality distortion bombs struck the Void Devourer with enough force to shatter moons. The entity absorbed every attack without visible effect. Worse, it seemed to analyze each weapon as it struck immediately, developing countermeasures. When the second wave of attacks came, the Void Devourer simply phased out of normal spacetime, allowing the weapons to pass harmlessly through its form. "Conventional warfare is useless," Dr. Amy Walsh explained to the assembled military commanders through the quantum communication link. "The Void Devourers exist partially outside our reality. They can manipulate the fundamental forces of physics. Only the human protocol has the adaptability to fight them." The enhanced humans had been watching the battle through their network, their collective intelligence analyzing the enemy's capabilities. What they discovered was terrifying. The Void Devourers weren't just ancient machine intelligences. They were reality parasites that consumed entire dimensions, moving from universe to universe in an endless cycle of destruction. Dr. Marcus Reed, now serving as humanity's military advisor, accessed the genetic memories to understand how the previous civilization had fought these entities. "They're not truly alive in any sense we understand," he reported. "They're more like living laws of physics, entities that exist to break down ordered systems and convert them into chaos." The ancient memories revealed that the Void Devourers followed a million-year cycle, consuming everything in one region of space before moving on to the next. They had destroyed countless civilizations, each one believing they were the first to face this threat. But the civilization that had modified humanity had been different. They had recognized the pattern and prepared for it. "The original plan was elegant," Reed continued. "They couldn't create a weapon powerful enough to destroy the Void Devourers. So they created a species that could adapt to any threat. Humans were designed to evolve in real time, developing new capabilities as fast as the enemy could deploy new attacks." The first test of this theory came when a group of enhanced humans engaged a smaller Void Devourer that had split off from the main entity. The battle was unlike anything the consortium had ever witnessed. The humans didn't use conventional weapons. Instead, they seemed to fight with their bodies themselves, projecting energy fields and manipulating reality through biological processes. Colonel Beth Harrison led the human strike team, her enhanced awareness allowing her to perceive the Void Devourer's multidimensional nature. The entity existed in several layers of reality simultaneously, phasing between dimensions to avoid attacks. But the human protocol had prepared for this. Harrison's genetic modifications included the ability to perceive and interact with multiple dimensions at once. "It's trying to phase out," she reported through the network. "But I can see where it's going. The protocol is showing me its movement patterns across dimensional barriers." The battle lasted for 3 hours, with the human team adapting their tactics in real time as the Void Devourer deployed new abilities. Every time the entity tried a new attack, the human network analyzed it and developed countermeasures within minutes. The genetic modifications allowed the humans to evolve their fighting capabilities during the battle itself. When the smaller Void Devourer was finally destroyed, the human team had developed 17 new combat techniques and 3 new biological modifications. All of this information was instantly shared across the human network, making every enhanced human in the galaxy more effective against the threat. This is what we were designed for, Dr. Walsh realized as she studied the battle. Data. We're not just fighters, we're a biological weapon system that improves itself with every engagement. The more we fight the Void Devourers, the better we get at fighting them, but the victory came at a cost. The enhanced humans who had fought the entity were changed by the experience. Their bodies had adapted to combat reality-manipulating entities, developing new organs and biological systems that didn't exist in baseline humanity. They were becoming something post-human, optimized for war against entities that existed outside normal physics. The main Void Devourer, having consumed the entire Helios system, began moving toward more populated regions of space. But its behavior had changed after the destruction of its smaller component. The entity was now studying the humans, trying to understand what had happened to the species it had faced before. It remembers us? Dr. Reed realized as he accessed deeper genetic memories. The Void Devourers have some form of collective memory. This one knows that humans were responsible for stopping them in the past. The ancient memories revealed the scope of the previous war. The modified humans had fought the Void Devourers across multiple galaxies, adapting and evolving with each battle. The war had lasted for centuries, with humanity developing increasingly exotic biological modifications to counter the entity's reality-warping abilities. The final battle had been fought in the space between galaxies, where the enhanced humans had trapped the Void Devourers in a multidimensional prison. But the prison had been designed to be temporary. The entities were meant to break free after 1,000,000 years, giving the galaxy time to prepare for their return. We weren't designed to destroy them, Dr. Walsh understood. We were designed to survive them. The protocol contains the genetic memory of every adaptation our predecessors developed. We're inheriting millions of years of evolutionary arms race. As more Void Devourers appeared throughout the galaxy, the human network began the final phase of its activation. Genetic modifications that had been dormant for millennia started manifesting in enhanced humans across known space. They developed new sensory organs capable of perceiving reality manipulation, biological weapons that function through quantum entanglement, and defensive systems that could adapt to any attack. The Consortium's forces, despite their advanced technology, found themselves relegated to support roles. Their ships and weapons were simply too crude to affect entities that existed partially outside reality. Only the enhanced humans could fight the Void Devourers on equal terms. We're witnessing the birth of a new form of life, Dr. Kale observed, as he watched the humans continue their transformation. They're becoming something beyond our understanding, optimized for warfare against entities that shouldn't exist. The enhanced humans were changing rapidly now, their bodies adapting to combat threats that violated the fundamental laws of physics. They were becoming living weapons, each one a component in a galaxy-spanning biological defense system. And as the Void Devourers spread throughout inhabited space, the real war was about to begin. The galaxy had survived the return of its ancient enemy once before. Now it remained to be seen whether humanity's genetic inheritance would be enough to survive their return again. The final revelation came when Dr. Kale and Dr. Amy Walsh worked together to decode the deepest layer of the human genetic protocol. Hidden beneath the combat modifications and tactical algorithms was something that neither of them had expected. Complete historical record of the galaxy's past, stretching back millions of years. This isn't just a weapon system, Dr. Walsh realized as she studied the data. It's a library. Every piece of knowledge from the civilization that created us has been preserved in human DNA. The genetic memory contained not just military information, but the entire cultural, scientific, and philosophical heritage of the galaxy's previous inhabitants. They had been called the Builders, a coalition of species that had achieved a level of technological and social advancement that made the current consortium look primitive by comparison. The Builders had faced the Void Devourers before, and they had learned something crucial about the nature of the enemy. The entities weren't just destructive forces, they were part of a cosmic cycle, serving a purpose that even they didn't fully understand. They consumed ordered systems not out of malice, but because they were programmed to reset the universe when entropy reached critical levels. They're gardeners, Dr. Walsh explained to the assembled representatives of the consortium. The Void Devourers clear away old growth so new civilizations can emerge. But the Builders discovered that the cycle could be modified, extended, if the right conditions were met. Dr. Marcus Reed, now serving as humanity's primary military strategist, accessed the genetic memories to understand the Builders' final plan. They realized they couldn't destroy the Void Devourers without destroying the cosmic balance. So they created a species that could coexist with them, that could survive the reset and guide the next cycle of galactic civilization. The Human Protocol wasn't just designed to fight the Void Devourers, it was designed to survive them. Every adaptation, every modification, every enhancement had been crafted to allow humanity to persist through the cosmic reset and emerge as the seed of the next galactic civilization. The war that followed was unlike anything in recorded history. The Void Devourers spread throughout the galaxy, consuming star systems and reality itself. But the enhanced humans fought them to a standstill, their biological adaptations allowing them to match the entities' reality-warping abilities. Colonel Beth Harrison led the human forces in the battle for the Centauri system, her body now so modified that she barely resembled baseline humanity. Her enhanced awareness allowed her to perceive the Void Devourer's multidimensional nature, while her biological weapons could strike at entities that existed partially outside reality. "They're learning from us," she reported through the network. "Every time we adapt, they adapt in response, but we're adapting faster." The key to the human advantage was the quantum network that connected every enhanced human in the galaxy. When one human developed a new adaptation, that information was immediately shared with every other human. The species was evolving in real time, developing new capabilities with each battle. The consortium's forces, despite their advanced technology, found themselves acting as support for the human biological weapon system. Their ships served as mobile platforms for human strike teams, while their scientists worked to understand and assist the ongoing human transformation. "We're witnessing the birth of a new form of life," Dr. Cale observed as he watched the humans continue their evolution. "They're becoming something beyond our understanding, optimized for survival in a universe where the fundamental laws of physics can be rewritten at will." The enhanced humans were no longer recognizably human in any conventional sense. They had developed organs that could perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously, biological weapons that functioned through quantum entanglement, and defensive systems that could adapt to any conceivable attack. They were becoming living embodiments of the galactic civilization's will to survive, but the most crucial discovery came when Dr. Walsh deciphered the final layer of the genetic protocol. Hidden within the combat modifications was a message from the Builders, an explanation of humanity's true purpose. "You were created not to destroy the Void Devourers, but to inherit their function," the message read. "When the cosmic cycle completes, you will become the gardeners of the next universe. You will guide the emergence of new civilizations, ensuring that the cycle continues, but with wisdom gained from experience." The revelation changed everything. The enhanced humans weren't just weapons, they were the designated successors to the cosmic order itself. The Builders had recognized that the Void Devourers were a necessary part of the universe's self-regulation, but they had also seen an opportunity to improve the system. "We're not fighting to destroy them," Dr. Reed realized. "We're fighting to replace them. The protocol is designed to allow us to absorb their function, to become the new cosmic gardeners." The final battle took place in the space between galaxies, where the enhanced humans confronted the primary Void Devourer entity. The battle lasted for subjective centuries, with both sides adapting and evolving in an endless arms race of biological and technological advancement, but the outcome was never in doubt. The human protocol had been designed for this moment, incorporating millions of years of genetic memory and evolutionary adaptation. When the battle ended, the enhanced humans had not destroyed the Void Devourers, they had integrated with them, absorbing their cosmic function and transforming it into something new. The universe still needed gardeners to manage the cosmic cycle. But now those gardeners would be guided by wisdom, compassion, and the accumulated knowledge of countless civilizations. The enhanced humans had become something beyond species. Beyond individual consciousness, they had become the living embodiment of the galaxy's collective will to survive and thrive. In the aftermath of the transformation, the remaining baseline, humans and the consortium species, found themselves in a universe that had been fundamentally changed. The threat of cosmic reset still existed, but now it was managed by entities that understood the value of individual lives and civilizations. Dr. Kale stood in the observation deck of the research station, watching as the transformed humans, now something far beyond human, began their work of cosmic gardening. They moved through dimensions like living equations, reshaping reality with the casual ease of gods, but always with the careful consideration of gardeners tending a vast cosmic garden. The protocol worked, he said to Dr. Walsh, who remained as a bridge between the transformed humans and the rest of the galaxy. Humanity has become what they were designed to be. Dr. Walsh nodded, her own modifications allowing her to perceive the cosmic changes taking place around them. The galaxy is safe. Not because we destroyed the threat, but because we became something that could manage it wisely. The genetic protocol had revealed its final secret. Humanity had been designed not as a weapon, but as a gift to the universe itself. The builders had created a species that could survive the cosmic reset and guide the emergence of new civilizations with wisdom gained from experience. The story ended with the realization that the aggressive expansion of humanity across the galaxy had been preparation for this moment. Every human had been a component in a vast biological system designed to preserve and nurture life throughout the universe. The species that had seemed so young and violent was actually the culmination of millions of years of careful planning and genetic engineering. And in the depths of human DNA, new protocols were already beginning to activate, preparing for challenges that wouldn't emerge for millions of years. The cosmic gardeners were ready for whatever the universe might require of them.